All right, guys, I want to welcome you back to the Habit Based Lifestyle Show. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about a question that I was asked last week, and it was, what is your current daily routine? And I want to kind of break this down. So I'm going to give you 7 of the things that I consistently do every day. There's obviously more, but I want to give you kind of the basics of this, and then obviously some ways that you can, you know, kind of like customize your own daily habits. Number one, first thing that I do every single day. Now, obviously, there's brushing your teeth, there's making coffee, there's a bunch of these things, but the real core habits that get me up and get me moving is number one is going to be walking. Now, before I get into the specific habits, I also want you guys to realize that, just hearing these habits will not help you with where you want to go. What you really need to work on is like, hey, what is this habit going to do for me? And making sure that you have a goal in mind, and then you begin to reverse engineer your habits to make sure that what you're doing every single day is getting you one step closer to what you want. And if you think about it, having a bigger goal is a filter for what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. And what that means is this, that asking yourself is like, hey, is the habit that I'm about to do, or is this thing I'm about to do today going to get me one step closer to what I want? And so number one is walking daily. Now, this is one of my new habits in 2022. I started doing this about 10 weeks ago. Love the results. And it's one of the first things that I do daily outside of the regulars, like brushing my teeth, making coffee. But it really gives me time to pray, walk, basically kind of a walk and talk with God. It gives me time to process not only what happened the day before, but what's about to happen the day of. And then also it gives me the ability to plan my day ahead and kind of run through it in my mind. Like, what are roadblocks that may possibly come up? Obviously, there's huge benefits to your mental and spiritual health with walking, but there's also huge benefits to just being outside, being in nature, getting vitamin D, all sorts of like actual health benefits. And then an extra benefit, which I also started incorporating, is walking for 15 to 20 minutes after each meal to really help with digestion and also help with eating in general. Now, number two is going to be prayer and listening to worship music. So this is something that I've also stacked with my walking daily. And so a lot of times you'll hear inside of our program, Habit-Based Lifestyle, you'll hear a concept called habit stacking. And what it is it allows us to stack our habits together so that we're getting more out of that. And one of the cool things with walking is I've incorporated praying with that, and then also listening to worship music, and really I started consistently praying, I would say 18 months ago. At first I was, I started stacking it as a habit because it was something that I found myself put off. So a lot of times I would do it after a workout, I would skip out on it. But as I started doing it before my workout 18 months ago, I started, getting into kind of like a buy-in of, okay, so I'm going to work out, I'm going to pray, and that's my buy-in to my workout. But what I noticed was, doing it with, once I started walking it, I was able to really combine it in my morning walks, and it's really helped me grow in my relationship. It wasn't like, it's not forced like it felt like 18 months ago when I started doing it, but that was kind of the way I made it a habit. And that was really one of the ways that it allowed me to kind of buy into it more, because I had to pray before I would start my workout, and there was no way I was going to miss a workout. And so this really got me into the habit of doing it. Now, the other thing is it's helped me, grow in my relationship with God and really let God lead and walk it out in faith. And I know a lot of times, we want to lead ourselves. We want to, be the one who kind of like controls it all. And I think at a certain level, we want to be able to take action, but we also want to have God lead us in that action that we're going to take. So we have to do the work, but at the end of the day, God is going to lead us to where we want to go. And so that's been really impactful for me, is just being able to pray and listen to worship music. The other thing is drinking hydrogen water, which is number 3. Drinking 30 to 40 ounces of hydrogen water every day before I drink anything else. Now, think about this. Most of us are going to wake up in a state of hydration. So the last thing that we really need in the morning is to take in a bunch of caffeine from coffee or other energy drinks. And so I make sure that the very first thing that I take in is hydrogen water to get hydrated, before I start drinking any coffee. And then also taking supplements. So the benefits of hydrogen water also, decrease inflammation. You're going to increase energy. We're going to improve digestion. And then obviously absorption when it comes to taking supplements is just being able to absorb what we're taking in. Now, number 4 on this is doing a goal review. So, we all know that writing down goals is crucial to, the results we're getting in our life, but really looking at them every morning is even more important, because I know a lot of people that they sit down, they write their goals down, they do these things, but they don't ever look at them again until, 60 to 90 days goes by. And they're like, man, why didn't I hit my goal? Well, we have to recommit to our goals every single day, not just once every 90 days, not just once a year. And so think about it this way. If I wanted to lose 20 pounds, would it help me to lose 20 pounds by looking at my goal every day and looking at what I committed to? Or would it help me only looking at, that commitment or that goal once every 90 days? Well, by the time 90 days passes, I could have already probably lost 20 pounds. But I can tell you this, out of all the business owners that we work with at Habit Based Lifestyle, and even myself, is if I don't have some type of habit of looking at them daily, we can lose sight of them over a day, over a week, over, a month, to where we can completely get thrown off track. Almost like looking at a map. If I had a map in front of me and it had everything laid out, if I didn't look at that map to see where my destination was going on a day-to-day basis, I'm going to get off track. And so really this goal review every single day gives us the filter for our daily habits, our daily actions. And one of the best questions that we can ask ourselves is what I'm about to do today going to help me get closer to my goals or further away? And when we think of commitment, we have to wake up every single day and make a recommitment to what we said we are committed to what we said we wanted as far as a goal. And when we don't do that, we're going to get behind on the destination of where we're going. Now, it may not be that far off track after a day, but a couple days of that, I can get completely off track, and it just slows down the whole process. So the goal review is really a recommitment every single day to make sure that I know what I'm committed to doing. Plus, let's say we always have things that come up. People will throw things at us. Hey, I'd love to be able to do this with you. But like, the goal is the filter to that question. Hey, does adding this thing help me get closer to what I want or further away? And if we have that in mind always, then we tend not to get so far off course. Now, another piece of this, which is number 5, is what's called a daily reframe. And I want you to think about this. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we frame it. And one of the greatest single weapons we have is the ability to take any situation, something that maybe someone did to us, or, we didn't like the way something turned out. And sometimes I kind of think of like, hey, if we were a victim to something and we have the ability to reframe that and learn from that and teach us something about ourselves and teach a crucial lesson that we can learn. What we're doing is uncovering the truth of ourself. We're replacing what happened to us as a victim with a new truth that actually is getting us what we want. And a lot of times it's like, hey, we can be right, or we can reframe it and we can actually get what we want. And many times being right doesn't necessarily get us to the truth of ourselves. It doesn't get us to the truth of what we actually want. And so we walk around in that many times to where we're so focused on being right that it keeps us from actually getting what we want. And so being able to reframe something that happens to us, and oftentimes in that situation, we come into it as being a victim, and then coming out of that to getting what we want and really uncovering a truth inside of us that we didn't actually see, and being able to look at that from all sides and being able to reframe it into getting what we actually want is a powerful lesson and a powerful way to work on this daily. Now, number 6 is going to be learn, listen, and read. And, every single day we have an opportunity to really, learn something about ourselves, to learn something new. And, if we want to be great in business, we want to be great in our marriages, if we want to be great in any area of life, we're going to have to read, we're going to have to learn, and we're going to have to master several things. And just think of learning as an investment into our business, into our health, into our relationships, into our life. And if we're not consistently learning every single day, then there's nothing new that's going to come up. So many times just sitting there listening to an audiobook, sitting there listening to a podcast, reading a book, any of those things, this gives us the ability to make a deposit into learning something new every single day. And kind of think of this as, it's not how long you read, it's not how much information you take in, it's how much of that can you actually apply to, your life and all of those things. And so the mastery in this is, the more I can read, the more I can learn, the more I can listen, the more that I can apply it to so many areas of my life and apply it to my business. And constantly learning allows me to constantly grow in different areas. And I love the fact that we have the ability to really learn at a faster rate than we ever have. There's so much information out there today, but we also have the ability to get it in so many different forms. We can watch something, we can listen to something, we can, sit down and read, but there's so many different styles of learning that we can do. There's so many different things that we can learn on. We have the ability to just constantly grow from that. Now, the other piece of that I make sure I do is posting some type of content on social media every day. What that, really allows you to do is really step out and market yourself. And I think this is something that's underutilized. Most people, they just post maybe random stuff. They don't have any reason why behind it. But I really think that as a business owner, you have to get used to promoting your business. You have to get used to promoting your lifestyle. You have to get used to promoting who you are, what you're learning, what you're about, and the people that you help. And this is one of the things that I see hold so many people back, and it held me back for many years. But I remember in 2014, 15, when I started doing this, it really allowed me to challenge myself, and it really allowed me to grow in so many ways. And I can remember, like, 2015, I went through a challenge where for 90 days, I was going to post a video every single day. And that turned into 127 days straight of videos. But I went from literally stumbling on every single video. I could barely say a sentence without saying 10 times, to being able to go through a video to where I could see the improvement I was making. And sometimes I'll bring back that challenge because I know how much growth And I know how much, that gives me the ability to really step into making sure that whatever I listen to, whatever I read that day, that allows me to really learn and apply it at a higher level instead of just taking in a bunch of information. So posting content on social media is something I've been doing consistently for 7 going on 8 years. And it's been a major impactful thing, not only on my business, but my life. Plus we can look back and see the growth that we've made in that process. Now, the last piece of this, one thing that I'll say too is I work out daily, but I think if you listen to this enough, you'll already know that I do that. So that's already kind of a given, is actually lifting weights and doing something towards, what I would do in the gym. And that's why I didn't want to put it on here, but that's obviously something I'm doing. The other thing is doing daily prayer with my wife. Yes, I take time to pray by myself and pray over my wife, pray over my kids. But over the last year, praying with my wife consistently on a daily basis has had a major impact on our marriage, major impact on our life. And really being obedient and praying, even if you're mad at each other, which can be hard, but like still being able to do that means you're committed to the results versus sometimes, we let our feelings take control of that. We would miss out on it. And then, we don't do that and you feel disconnected or you feel like you're not on the same page. So knowing your spouse prays for you is powerful, but doing it together means that you guys are really building that connection with God and opening up doors of communication. It's been one of the most powerful, habits over the last year that we've really been committed to. And I would challenge you to do that with your spouse if you're currently not doing it. And it's one thing to pray for them separately. It's another thing to actually do it together. And there's a lot of power that comes from that. So those are the 7, those are actually the 8 daily habits that I'm doing. There's obviously more, but I wanted to kind of lay those out because these are things that I think people may not be doing and may be underutilizing in their day-to-day life. But this was a question I was asked, like, hey, what is your daily routine? What are you currently doing? And these were kind of the biggest ones that I really put out is like, hey, I know that this could really help someone. And so if you're listening to the show inside the Facebook group, if you have any questions, drop HBL in the comments. If you're listening to the podcast and you have some questions, feel free to email me, jesse@habitbasedlifestyle.com. If you want to be part of our Facebook community, go on Facebook, look up Habit-Based Lifestyle Secrets, or check out in the show notes, click on the link and it'll take you directly to the Facebook group. We'd love for you to be part of the community. Until next episode, have a great day.